George Washington won his first election by getting people drunk. This is unimportant.
Guaranteed to not change your life. This is the Unimportant Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Unimportant.
Hello
And welcome to the Unimportant Podcast. My name's Anthony. That's Joe Bob. Today we're getting drunk.
not in voting, apparently.
Oh.
So George Washington, interesting. I didn't know this before I was reading this, but George Washington actually ran for a couple different seats, obviously before running for president. I kind of thought that he was part of the separation patriots and then just kind of not stumbled his way, but found himself at the front of the pack and ended up being the president that way. But no, he actually ran to represent people far before the Revolutionary War even started.
Really?
Oh, yeah. In today's... so this is not a presidential election that we're talking about right now. In the last presidential election, right, Hillary Clinton raised $1.4 billion.
Right.
Donald Trump raised $956 million, which is a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
That's a ton of money. In George Washington's first election, the young candidate was running for Virginia House of Burgesses. I think I'm pronouncing that right.
What is a Burgesses?
Imagine like a House of Representative kind of for the local area. So like your states have like a state assembly.
Yeah.
And state
This is
senate.
the county assembly or something?
Yeah, kind of,
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure how the entire process worked, but something like that. So in 1758, George Washington's first campaign, he spent his entire budget, get this, on 160 gallons of liquor to serve 391 voters. That's
a half gallon apiece.
That's a
lot of liquor.
Yeah. So it's his entire campaign budget. He didn't make any flyers. He didn't pay. Now, again, running for political office back in the 1700s is a little bit different.
Apiece.
He spent his entire budget, but apparently that was like what you did you needed to get people to the polls.
Yeah.
Because people today, we have every opportunity imaginable to vote, and no one does it.
It's easier to vote in America today than it is anywhere else on Earth ever.
Yeah, totally. So 60% of people vote in presidential elections, and 40% of people vote in midterms. So 2 out of 5 people vote in midterms.
And it was probably worse back in the 1700s.
Which is why you have to spend your entire campaign budget on free alcohol, because then people
vote for whoever gave me a half gallon of liquor.
And
right?
That was his plan, and that's apparently what people did back then. That was kind of like a tradition. You would buy people booze, and the tradition...
what would happen if somebody tried that today? Like, how much liquor could you actually buy for $1.4 billion?
So, I did this.
Please tell me you have that statistic.
Well, the votes that Trump got and the amount of money that he raised spent around $16 per person. So... How much can you get for $16?
You can buy a fifth of vodka, which is a fifth of a gallon, not a half a gallon, but...
So there you go.
If you're buying in bulk, you probably could buy a half gallon of half gallon liquor.
I wonder if that's more effective than actually running your TV ads and doing your ground game and your mail pieces and all that sort of stuff.
No one is willing to risk $1 billion to find out. I don't think.
You would also roll out the barrels of liquor onto the courthouse lawn in the polling places on election day. That's how you would get people there. That's just how campaigns
get a free
run.
drink and vote.
Which,
Don't drink and vote, people. That's frowned upon now.
If it works, it works. So yeah, that's essentially what happened. The 25-year-old George Washington, when he tried to run the first time, so this was not his first election.
Yeah.
The first time he tried to run as a 25-year-old, he did not budget for buying all of his people booze, and guess what happened?
He lost.
That's yeah. So when reflecting upon his defeat, he attributed it to the failure to provide enough alcohol for the voters. So when he tried again 2 years later.
He's like open about it. He's just like, I didn't buy enough booze. I lost.
He bought 160 gallons of rum, punch, hard apple cider, and beer to his election and handed it out.
This is like
This is
like in high school when you like hand out baked goods or something with vote for me in the hallway.
That's
you know?
exactly what it's the same thing. And yeah, roughly a half a gallon for every vote he received. That's exactly how he won.
That's absolutely insane.
And that's how. Can you imagine today having something like that where you can just buy people
that would
stuff?
be so frowned upon.
It is very not frowned upon. It's illegal. You can't.
It's so frowned upon.
You can't. You can't legally do it. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but yeah, it's you can't do that nowadays. But
that is hilarious.
Imagine if you could.
Oh my gosh.
The chaos that went into. If you could actually give people bribes and incentives to get them to vote nowadays, I bet the presidential election you would
It'd be
raise
way more fun.
It would be way more expensive.
Think about it though. Like the whole country, we all know it's a little bit divisive, and everybody's a little wound up these days. Everybody's a little wound up these days.
So wound up.
Imagine if we all just had a couple drinks.
I was going to say,
it'd be way more entertaining.
But imagine if you could buy something. Who would stop at drinks? Like, hey, man,
that's a good point.
Vote for my candidate and I'll buy you X, Y, Z. I bet fundraising for presidential races would go up to $10-15 billion every cycle.
It'd be way more fun.
Oh,
I say we do it. Just see what happens.
Hey, well, you heard it here first. This is Unimportant.
We do this podcast so that somebody else can change the world. If you want to hear more, go ahead and hit subscribe.